Manuela.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. For my constituents in Stratford-on-Avon, the King's speech was underwhelming, a timid affair, not the radical bold change our country needs right now. In the last parliamentary session, my constituents were promised change and a government focused on growth. Instead, we got farm tax for those producing our food and a job tax for our local businesses, which impedes the very same growth. In Stratford-on-Avon, one of the key industries is hospitality and tourism. That is why I've long called for better rail and bus connectivity for my constituency, and why I will continue to press it for it today. Stratford-upon-Avon is still without a direct train to London and no reliable or direct late-night rail service to Birmingham. We are also without adequate bus connections between our rural towns and villages. This government claims that its top priority is growth. But how is our local economy supposed to grow without adequate public transport infrastructure to get people to their places of work, to get young people to college and other places of learning, or to their first job? Stratford is home to one of the finest theatre companies anywhere in the world, the Royal Shakespeare Company, and home of the Shakespeare Birthplace Trust, and yet it is difficult for people to visit us. This leaves local businesses to suffer. Our hospitality and nightlife industry is being starved, and it is young people who are paying the price most of all. For hospitality and tourism are young people's industries. These are often the first jobs our young people take, the sector in which they build confidence, skills, and careers. When those industries struggle, young people struggle with them. Madam Deputy Speaker, for constituencies like Stratford-on-Avon, the creative industries are also central to our economy, our identity and our future. The government does see this sector as one of the 8 growth-driving sectors in their industrial strategy, and yet the reality is that the creative sector is already under immense pressure. For example, since our departure from the European Union, touring across Europe has become more difficult, more expensive, and more bureaucratic than ever before for performers, musicians, and arts and cultural organizations. Yet, there has been little meaningful support from government for those industries or for the communities that depend on them. Brexit has made us all poorer, and by clinging to red lines like blocking a customs union and access to the single market and dithering on a youth mobility scheme, the government is locking Britain into higher prices and weaker growth, but most importantly is letting our young people down. Madam Deputy Speaker, for this reason, I'm again calling on the government to scrap the employers' national and insurance jobs tax, to support local businesses by reforming the unfair business rate system and implementing an emergency VAT cut for hospitality and leisure, and support our young people, our businesses and the creative sector with a bold, renewed EU-UK deal, which includes a customs union and access to the single market and a youth mobility scheme. While my constituents struggle with poor transport connectivity, they're also watching the condition of the rivers Olne, Arrow, Avon and Stour deteriorate before their eyes. After recognizing the failure of the Conservative government to properly regulate water companies, this government has quickly followed in its footsteps and allowed more than 500,000 sewage spills into river last year alone. My constituents have seen only rising water bills. They're paying through the nose to companies that do not respect the environment they live in. The Clean Water Bill will establish a new regulator. I call on the government for this regulator to be a strong regulator with the power and determination to hold water companies properly to account and end the sewage scandal once and for all. The government must also legislate to measure volume, not just duration of sewage spills, and strengthen powers for local authorities and communities to monitor river health. We need to place power into the hands of the people that most cherish the areas they are responsible for. People in Stratford-on-Avon deserve reliable transport, thriving businesses, opportunities for young people, and a clean, protected, natural environment. They deserve a government willing to invest in rural communities, defend our waterways, and stand up to failing companies where regulators have been asleep at the wheel. My constituents are tired of excuses, tired of sewage in the rivers, and tired of being treated as an afterthought. They want action, and they deserve nothing less.